Hello and welcome back, guys. We will be getting into season 2 of the series today, so make sure to like the video if you already enjoy my content and subscribe to stick around. So without further ado, let's get started. We open up with a basic recap of the premise of the series by Mike, and he tells us after what happened at the end of season 1, he was exhausted for an entire week. We cut to Mike and Lucy trying to save people in a crashing plane, which is honestly a huge step up from most of the stuff they were doing last season. They end up blowing the back out of the plane with Great Finger, use Mummy Girl to tie up all of the passengers so they stick together as they jump out of the plane, and then use Gravity to catch everyone in his anti-gravity field. This was honestly a very impressive plan to think up in a high-stakes situation. And then Mike transforms the plane with Sugar Pang into a giant strawberry, which I don't know how that's going to affect the marine life there, but it's probably better than a plane crashing into the ocean. We get a little bit of a groaning-inducing scene of the creators wording Lucy's dialogue in a way to make Mike think she wants to date him, but she was just leading up to telling him they should get back on the trail of looking for Scott. We get a scene with Super Scott saying Durko last season did his job of letting the wider world see what the hero books can do, and that his forces are making their move. We go over to Krista, who is on a mission to collect another comic. And we get to see two new heroes, Leora and Firehead. But we see that she pretty easily defeats the gang, gaining another comic. And then we end off the episode with a new character coming to Mike and Lucy's school. So we finally got a full scene with Krista, so I think I can talk about her voice actor now. She is voiced by Zuri Washington. And Krista definitely showed she can hold her own in a fight without a hero book. The hero she used, Leora, is voiced by Amanda Huford, again, who also voices Timo. Leora seems to be basically inspired by many feline-based characters in media, and she has the basic agility and flexibility of a cat, with her ultimate giving her longer, sharper claws to cut through things. And man, the animators knew what they were doing when they were animating her. My goodness.
Yeah, boy.
Lastly, Firehead is voiced by Erica Schrodinger, who also voices Mrs. Cubbinson. And her ability is basically to whip fire that she produces from her head around, like a whip or a fireball. But she loses that ability if she loses her guitar. And she is obviously inspired by British rock bands. But getting into the episode itself, we see that Mike and Lucy are becoming very popular online ever since the City Hall incident. And I am surprised they handled the plane crash so well. It reminded me of how the heroes from My Hero Academia would be trained to deal with incidents like this. And they still haven't gotten anywhere with their search for Scott. But Super Scott is planning something, and his members are going around collecting more comics. And since we saw Mike now has Sugar Pang, I'm going to guess all 6 of the hero books the Council of Comics had were taken by them. So Mike originally had 5, while Lucy had 4. Combining them now that they are a team, and adding the new comics they got, means they now have 15 comics in total, and Super Scott's team has 4. It was a great reintroduction to the series, but let's get on to the next episode.
Hello?
I love you.
We begin with some guys walking down an alley and get ambushed by a new hero, Camille, who easily beats them and gets called back by his reader, Two-Tone Tony. Back at the school, Nick shows Mike and Lucy that the chief of police has made hero books illegal and will treat them as deadly weapons. Later on, we see a new character that appeared at the end of last episode, Bobby, who is a teacher at the school. He gets a call about finding someone, but we won't find out about that until next episode. The team goes to investigate where Tony has been hanging out to stop him from abusing the hero books. They find him, but have a surprisingly hard time fighting Camille. They use Crying Man to negate Camille's ability, but right when they were about to win, the police interrupt them. and Tony uses Kameli's ultimate to make him and his boys invisible to make their escape. And our heroes get away with a smokescreen from Toxo, with the episode ending with Tara confronting Nick about his quote-unquote secret. So the first person I want to talk about is Bobby, who is voiced by Alan Winter. And Bobby, of course, has something going on with him, but for now we will just have to wait and see what it is. McCuffin is voiced by Baron Bass. No hate towards the guy, because I don't know if it's the voice direction or the way the words and mouth animations don't match up that well, but his voice acting is just off, and is the only voice that brings me out of the show. The character himself has a reasonable motivation to get the hero books off the streets, since they cause so much destruction and could definitely kill somebody. Colton is voiced by Jason Griffith again, and we will see more of him in other episodes. There's just not much to talk about with him here. Two-Tone Tony is voiced by Gianni Matragrano again. I do like the voice acting for him, and his gimmick being his two-sided suit that he makes his sons stand on matching sides is kinda funny. And he is our first real criminal that has started using the hero books. Then finally Kameli, who is voiced by Simona Berman again. Now Kameli I am torn on, since the design is good, but all the internet slang he says makes me cringe. And I hate it when shows treat invisibility like you are intangible. Because I feel like there were multiple points where he should have been hit, but he goes invisible right before he gets hit, and in that short moment he somehow dodges. But besides that, we see that he has good versatility, can use his tail in combat, and can fire out his tongue like a chameleon would, with his ultimate allowing other people to turn invisible as well. Now moving on to the episode itself, I can't believe they were having such a hard time with Kameli. They used like 5 heroes altogether. Also, I have to point out to Mike that Nick should probably not be seen by these guys, since they are actual criminals. Him and Lucy have disguises, but Nick doesn't. Now, let's move on to the next episode. We come back to where we left off, with Tara telling Nick she knows he knows Super Awesome Man. And we get a good moment for him, sticking up for Mike and Lucy and saying that he doesn't know them. But Tara clarifies that she wants to interview them so people know they are the good guys. So Nick agrees, and we cut to the team getting ready for the interview. Mike, of course, is freaking out because he is sure his own mother is going to recognize him, but luckily the interview goes off fine, with his mother surprisingly not recognizing him. Then Nick tells them that they basically have a fan group that will tell them about any strange goings-ons in the city, and the others don't really care about it, until he tells them that one of them just posted a video of Kameli at the piers, so they get right on it. We then cut over to Dr. Tennyson and Professor Z as they are having a conversation, and they get interrupted by a masked figure who we later find out in this episode is Bobby. He is here for Professor Z, but Dr. Tennyson makes him relive his worst trauma. But he is able to break free from it and uses his hero, Mist. He is able to overpower them, and we cut away. Tara finally quits her job, since her boss still doesn't take her seriously, even after she got the exclusive interview. We come back to the team, finding Krista and Timo at the piers, and they seem to easily defeat Two-Tone Tony, ending their part of the episode with both teams ready to battle. And then ending the episode with Bobby coming home, with Durko making a meal for him. So our heroes had their first interview with Tara, and this will hopefully raise the approval of the public towards them. And Bobby has stolen Professor Z from Dr. Tennyson, which probably means he has been written out of the story. And I'm sure we will get some information next episode on why Durko is staying with him. I am excited to see how our team is going to fare against the readers from Super Scott's group. Bobby now has 2 comics, while Super Scott's group gained 1, now having 5. Alright, let's move on to the next episode. We actually begin this episode with a flashback from Officer Colton. I'm guessing this happened years ago because we see Super Scott saving them, along with Scott, the creator of the comics. And when we come out of the flashback, I wanted to take a look at the files on Colton's desk. And they say that X and Super Awesome Man teamed up with the Council of Comics and Two-Tone Tony, which is a crazy thing to come to since they fought the Council of Comics. The Two-Tone Tony thing is a bit more forgivable, but it's still a pretty big leap. We come back to the main fight with them having a difficult time fighting Krista and Timo. They use the combination of Crying Man powering up Jinxing Man, but that doesn't even work, since Leora can just easily cut through him. We cut from the scene with our hero still being on the losing side of things. We cut to a quick scene of Bobby and Durko, with Bobby telling him that he's not interested in his body, but is intrigued by his mind. And then we come back to our hero still losing pretty badly, with them snatching Lucy's comics until Mike awakens again with some new ability. The cops arrive and Krista is about to burn them all with Firehead until Mike uses a new power, Comical Create, to invent a new ultimate move for Crying Man. That being Wall of Tears, shielding the police. But it also allows our group and the other villains to escape. Back at Mike's room, they are wondering how Mike did what he did, but it's even more difficult for him to totally explain it. And Lucy feels like she was useless during the whole fight since one of her comics got stolen. But they resolve to find them and stop the group that is doing this. The final scene of the episode is back at the cafe with Super Scott checking their comic haul. Camille isn't useful to him, but Great Finger is, since he is part of something called the Dizzy Seven. And he says there are just 5 more he has to collect until he can find Scott again. So this was our first real loss for our heroes this episode. And you can tell it's hitting Lucy hard since Mike again saved them from a total loss with his new power. Speaking of which, Mike again tapped into his, I guess I would say, awesome power to again surpass everyone else we have seen in the show. I wouldn't say he is overpowered yet, because physically he is still weak and doesn't seem to have good stamina, since he was spent after going into that mode again. It was cool getting a flashback that explains why Colton is sympathetic towards our heroes. We got to see the real power of Super Scott, and he definitely seems to be the most powerful hero we have seen so far. And I have to mention, the woman we have seen working at the cafe named Honey might be related to the older woman named Cynthia, since she calls her Granny. But she may just call her that, since she probably owns the tea shop and it's called Granny's Milk Tea. Now Lucy lost one of her comics in this battle, bringing our team's total number to 14, while Super Scott's team gained 2, bringing them up to 6. So by the end of these chunks of episodes, Bobby has Professor Z and Mist. Super Scott's team has Super Scott himself, Leora, Firehead, Jelly King, Camille, and Great Finger. With Mike's team now having Crying Man, Black Knight, Disco Duo, Mummy Girl, Lucky, Jinxing Man, Toxo, Sugar Pang, Locust, Mac B, Sparkules, Gravity, Sylph, and Hummingbird Man. So for the polls this time, I asked who was your favorite new reader, and it seems Skull Crusher is the favorite, with Papa Princess coming in second. I am probably guessing her popularity is from her future actions in the next episodes. Then I did 2 separate polls for the new heroes, with Toxo winning over Mac B and Sugar Pang beating out Locust and Jinxing Man. I honestly was thinking Locust was going to win, but that may just be bias since he is my favorite out of these 3. While I honestly thought this video was going to be longer, but I breezed through these chapters pretty quickly. Make sure to go check out my playlist for the series if you want more Hero Inside content. And remember to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe so you can get notified when I get another video out. With all that done, I will see you guys later. Bye guys.